Hi, and Happy New Year. This is obviously our first one for 2024. This is part two where we do some technical analysis for you. Hope you enjoy it. And just a reminder, we've got a lot of inflation data leading up to the FOMC meeting decision this coming week. Expect some big moves, I would say. And of course, it's going to be a question of whether they're going to skip or they're going to do 25 basis points for the Fed. And of course, CPI could swing it one way or the other. And then, of course, you've got ECB, which is pretty much a done deal for a 25 basis point increase. Now, the indices analysis, just going to warn you here, I've moved on now to the September futures contract as June expires this Friday as part of the quad witching. So just a reminder of the legend. So black numbers in the right hand column, they are going to be support and resistance levels based on trend lines. Brown numbers are breakout levels. Claret numbers, these horizontal lines that I put in, are either levels where I see support or resistance, or whether they're on double, triple tops or bottoms. Just a reminder of the pivot point colors and also the fib colors, and there is at least one chart with the fibs this week. So as usual, we start with the Dow. Stocks haven't had a great start to the year. They've been sort of coming off, probably one of the worst starts they've had in a year actually. I've got resistance now on the Dow on the daily at 38,274. I got support at 37,135. And then there's another support level, but that's way down at 33,903. On the 30-minute, as you can see, the pivot levels are in. It sort of breached the pivot on the upside after it had tested S2 on the downside, but was rejected. And it sort of finished in the middle of S1 and pivot. And I've got resistance at 37735. I've got support at 37588. And of course, it was the data NFP coming out Friday that sort of really got the stocks moving late afternoon. Okay, then moving on to the S&P. I've got resistance at 48.78. I've got support at 45.47. There's another level at 44.94, which I consider to be a breakout level if it does get down there. Obviously, it's got a way to go. And sort of when you look at that, it's now filled that little gap that was there on the S&P. So it's nice to see that. Gaps usually get filled at some stage. It can take hours or it can take weeks or months. But now that's filled. Again, stocks are going to be a little bit prone to reporting that's coming out over the next few weeks. On the 30-minute, rejected beautifully on that S2 level on Friday, and also rejected really nicely at that sort of R1 as well. So pivots really worked well. So resistance 47.60, 47.37, with support at 47.19. And the Nasdaq. So again, that gap was filled a bit lower, and I've put the gap in here so you can just see that. So they're the blue line. So the gap started from 16,555 all the way up to 16,819. It's important when you're looking at the gaps, don't just use the sort of tops and bottoms of the wicks or the shadows. Use the actual close to open, because that is more important. Okay, so when we're looking at this, still got a bit of an uptrend there, but I've got resistance at 17,262, and I've got support at 16,072. On the 30-minute, I've got resistance at 16,583, 16,467, and support at 16,397. And again, you can see there, after that sort of sell-off, that S2 just really sort of held well, just broke it very, very slightly before we had that lovely rally all the way back up again. Okay, so moving on to the pound against the dollar. Dollar's a bit mixed. There's people saying it's going to weaken again this year. I'm not so sure. I'm always a fan of the dollar anyway. I'm not necessarily going to say that it's going to be rampant this year, but I think it's going to be steady. And my argument is they've got the best economy. I think too many people just look at rates and yields, and of course they are important, obviously. But for me, surely the strengthened economy is more important. Okay, if you're putting your money on deposit, then maybe you're going to look elsewhere. But if you want to invest, I'd rather invest in the strongest economies rather than the weakest, for sure. Okay, so on the pound against the dollar, I got resistance at 128.54. I got support at 126.17 and 125.00. Moving on to the 30-minute, pound against the dollar, resistance 127.34, support 126.56 and 126.17. So even the euro managed a bit of a rally, but it wasn't too didn't last too long. Based on that, I've got resistance at 112.11. I got support at 107.60 and 106.69. I just find it practically impossible to go long of the euro against the dollar. For me, it just doesn't make sense. But as with all trades, it's timing. If you're going to sell or buy anything, you've got to get that timing as good as possible to give yourself those high probability trades. Okay, moving on to the 30-minute. As you can see, it had a rally up the euro. It sort of just failed to get to that R2, but it was a great opportunity to sell again. And then it came all the way down. And of course, before it got that big rally in, it had a big sell-off and tested the S2 as well. And that got extended just a little bit further, but great opportunities using the pivots. Okay, so resistance I've got at 109.80. I've got support at 109.67. So you can expect an early breakout there. So Bitcoin, yeah, it's back for sure. Obviously last year it had some big move up in that last quarter. Sort of expectations of this ETF being approved in the US. And of course this year, 2024, there's another halving of Bitcoin as well. So there's going to be less tokens, less coins produced this year from the mining. So, okay, so looking at resistance 47,477, support is round about 42,000 and below that 38,474. Again there, we've got a gap. So the gap is 40,500 and to close it, it's got to go down to 39,345. So the gap's there in the blue. Again, close to open. Looking at the 30-minute, I got resistance at 44,745. I got support at 44,015 43,080 and 42,465. So I think sort of the decision, unless it's postponed again, is due within days. But let's see if the US are brave enough to come out with that decision. Okay, moving on to gold. Again, another erratic start to the year. And here I've got resistance at 2072, support at 2029, and support at 1987. On the 30-minute, I've got resistance at 2075. I've got support at 2050. It's just a little bit volatile. It's popping through those pivots. So again, it just depends on, sort of how sensitive you are with your stop losses there, to whether you'd still be in those trades and manage to catch that both sides or not. And again, when volatility increases, just reduce the size that you trade and give yourself wider stops, but without increasing the potential loss. And then, on WTI, wow, it's just being driven geopolitically at the moment more than anything, I would say. Again, supply issues, potential ones anyway. So I've got resistance at 74.23. I've got support at 69.49 and support at 63.69. So it's in a bit of a downtrend there, but again, it depends what goes on in the Red Sea for sure at the moment. That could pop. So yeah, I mean, just be a little bit cautious with your trading of oil at the moment, because it is sort of being moved around because of what's going on more in the Red Sea than anywhere else, I would say. And then finally, WTI on the 30-minute, I've got resistance at 74.24, support at 73.86, 72.51 and 71.06. So so nice quick bit of analysis for you there. Again, the levels, the daily levels, most of them they're going to hold up over time, possibly the week. Obviously the 30 minutes are pretty much just to help you for Monday, give you some levels to start the week. Now, I do use other charts as well. Because most people use candlesticks on here, I put the candlesticks, but I use two other charts. So the candlesticks I use for the trends, which is what I've been showing you on a regular basis. But I use a different chart to really identify support and resistance in the markets. And I use yet another chart that tells me when the trend is changing. Of course, it's not always right, but the majority of the time it's pretty good. And you can use it on all different time frames. So, if you're interested in something like that, then reach out to me. I'm happy to, tell you a little bit more information, or even better still, join one of my workshops, technical analysis or macro, whatever you want one on, and I will help you to understand how to analyze better, and because that's going to help you obviously with your trading. So anyway, that's it for this week. Have a great 2024. Again, just finally, a little reminder of what we do. So apart from the YouTubes, daily newsletters that go straight to your inbox each morning to provide you with global headlines, global news, and also my views. And then if you'd like to subscribe, we also provide chart levels and pivot points. When it comes to courses, we offer everything from one-day workshops, one-week courses. One of those includes a free trading challenge, up to the comprehensive masterclass, which is an accredited course, and the next one of that starts in a week's time on the 19th of June. So if you're interested, then contact us quickly because those places won't be around for long. Now, also trader mentoring, where we help traders improve and get to that next level time and again. We consult to companies, FX and commodity exposure. We provide a whole platform and mass of educational content to individuals, exchanges and brokers. And as usual, we start with our disclaimer. So trading involves the potential risk of loss of capital. It's not suitable for everyone, although hopefully it is for you. When it comes to leverage, just be careful because you can lose substantially more than that initial investment. Everything we include in here is just purely for educational purposes. We're not trying to provide you with advice, we're just trying to help you prepare, understand the markets better, to help you make better decisions. But of course, if you are looking to invest or trade, that has to be your decision. And before you make that, you should consider your financial situation, your level of experience and your risk appetite. And of course, on your risk capital, you're prepared, but more importantly, can afford to lose. If you've got any doubts whatsoever, seek independent financial advice before risking your capital.